So I think we're almost on time now, and maybe Joint Secretary Jitendra
Yeah,
Shetty.
sure, sir, sure. So good evening, everybody. A warm welcome to all of you to the first meeting of the first weekly meeting of RBJ of the year 2022. Since it's an online meeting, before we proceed, I would request you to kindly switch off your mobile phones or turn it on to silent mode, and try to keep yourself muted until unless and please unmute yourself whenever you have to speak. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I hand over the charge to our president, Rotarian Ajay Babala, to take forward the meeting. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotarian Jitendra Shetty. And it would be great to see all the nice smiling faces and having all the videos on. And if we could take a pic of the online meeting today, can I request all the members to please switch on your videos? Meeting call to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Board of Rotary Year 21-22, I wish you all a very happy new year. May the year 2022 bring abundance of happiness, good health, and prosperity to each one of you and your families. And needless to say, a portion of this abundance can and should be shared with the needy and the destitute. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this unique meeting today. I am happy to recognize the presence of District Governor-elect Rotarian Jitendra Ji Aneja. Welcome, sir. And I welcome the past presidents and guests for this meeting today. Friends, it is a privilege to extend a warm welcome to our guest speaker for the evening, CA Rajesh Kumar TR. A very warm welcome, Rajesh. Good evening and welcome to this online meeting today. And I express my gratitude to past President Rotarian Vijay Saraf for creating this opportunity of having this much needed session today. It was scheduled to be in-person meeting at Hotel Ritz-Carlton. To ensure the safety of our members, we have decided to keep all our weekly meetings, board meetings, committee meetings, etc. online till further notice. I request all the members to follow necessary safety measures and protocols at all times. I request all the members to pray for the good health and speedy recovery of past President Rotarian Brahma Gilraji and Rotarian Vinay Agarwal, wishing them good health and speedy recovery. May I now invite our Joint Secretary, Rotarian Jitendra Shetty, to share the report. Jitendra?
Yeah, thank you, President Ajay. Here is a brief report, secretarial report. So on 10th December, RBJ was able to plant almost 1,652 food-bearing plant at DRDO campus in CV Raman Nagar under the guidance of our Community Service Director, Rotarian Meera Deshpande, and the Project Director, Rotarian Suresh Arkere. On 11th December, RBJ organized a workshop for transformation of business and using digital technology, and this was spearheaded by our Vocational Services Director, Rotarian Sachin Indane. On 21st December, RBJ along with Sneha Foundation upgraded children home by providing basic facility like electrical and plumbing repairs and painting in the first phase. The event was conducted in association with L&T Disha, our satellite club. On 22nd December, RBJ along with Interact District 3190 conducted a candle making session with, which was organized by Mrs. Monica Surana. And the highlight of the month was on the 17th and 18th of December, almost 43 ANs and Rotarians, they traveled to Mangalore on Vistadome train and they had a wonderful trip. Moving on to birthdays and anniversaries, MP Krishnan is celebrating, Rotarian MP Krishnan is celebrating his birthday on the 10th of Jan. Rotarian Sanjeev Agarwal, then the Rotarians Sushil Khemka and Rotarian Sakshi Chaudhary. They are celebrating their birthday on 11th of January. And Rajprabha Gilra, wife of Brahma Gilra, will be celebrating her birthday on the 9th of January. So that's all from our side, and over to you, President. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitendra Shetty. And hello, Siddharth. Good evening. I'm glad to see you here in the online meeting now. Thank you so much for joining in. And birthday wishes and anniversary wishes to all the members. Dear friends, we are mostly satisfied with the 6 months gone by, July to December. I would say mostly satisfied, not completely satisfied, because there is quite a more we can do. So I'm sure with the board and the contribution and participation of all the members, the coming 6 months is going to be phenomenally great. And the energetic and enthusiastic 6 months that have been lined up, there are quite a few projects in the pipeline. In fact, we had Director Club Service, Rotarian Manish Bhujavar had been working and planning on family get-together for the 16th of January. But given the current situation, we are of the opinion that we would probably reschedule that. And Director Vocational Service has requested members to nominate persons who are deserving for the Vocational Service Awards. I request all the members to look into their profiles and please nominate deserving candidates for the Vocational Service Awards. The chairman for the awards is past President Rotarian Abhayji Dikshit. Director Community Services proposed the inauguration of the new toilets blocks at Anekal Government School for the 20th of January. And I'm happy to say that our immediate past president, Rotarian Velu Petty, is executing the 25 Happy Schools project, which can be probably inaugurated towards the end of February or mid of March, depending on the situation on implementation and execution. And I'm very, very happy to inform all the members that our past president, Rotarian Vijay Saraf, is coordinating with the commissioner and of BBMP on the upgrading of the public health center at Vasant Nagar, and a blueprint should be ready soon. Past President Rotarian BG Raj is executing the model schools at Turahali and Gublala, and my sincere gratitude to District Governor-elect Rotarian Jitendraji Aneja, past President Rotarian Naval Kishore Saraf, and past President Rotarian Milind Deshpande, who are in the process of filing the biggest global grant for our club for the cath lab facility at Rangadore Hospital. This is going to be a phenomenal project, which is going to place hundreds and thousands of the needy with affordable healthcare. Director Youth Services, Rotarian Amrish Kothari, is also closely working with the interactors and retractors, and a lot of projects are there in the pipeline. But again, given the current situation, we are not able to fix a timeline on implementation of these projects. And I take this opportunity to thank each and every member for the exceptional contributions that are being made to our club. I'd like to thank Joint Secretary Rotarian Jitendra Shetty for having facilitated the beautiful, amazing, memorable, magnificent Mangalore trip for all of us. Thank you so much, Jitu. May I now invite our past president, Rotarian Vijay Saraf, to introduce the guest speaker of the day, CA Mr. Rajesh Kumar. All may I know it?
Yeah, thank you, President Ajay. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Audible, na? Yeah.
Yes, Vijay.
Yeah, he is a practicing chartered accountant, practicing indirect taxes since 2002. If I'm not wrong, we must be his first few clients. Completed schooling, graduation, and CA articleship from Tumkur, and later on moved to Bangalore and completed his LLB, Chartered Accountancy, and DISA. He is a proprietor of RKTR and Company, Chartered Accountants, practicing in the field of indirect taxes since 2 decades. He represents his client in customs, excise, service tax, at appellate tribunal, sestat, settlement commission, anti-profiteering authority, etc. Up to March 20, he was one of the senior partners at Hirangenge and Associates. Has authored number of books on central excise, service tax, KVAT, and written many articles for various professional journals. Has contributed substantially for compilation and revision of study material on indirect taxes at Institute of Chartered Accountants. Has been training the professionals, students, industry, and department authorities, educational institutions, trade bodies, professional bodies of CA and CS, etc., in the field of indirect taxes. Please welcome CA Rajesh Kumar TR with round of applause. Over to you, CA TR Rajesh.
Thank you, Vijayji. I think I should thank you for the wonderful introduction you gave about me. In fact, as what you rightly said, you are one among the few, what I can say, initial clients, premium clients, which we served. That's great. So I think I would firstly like to thank the Rotary for giving me this opportunity to share my whatever the knowledge and experience in this particular area in this regard. Just excuse me, please, 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to settle the internet connection issue, but I think so. Would it be fine, Mr. Ajay, if I put off my video for the having a better clarity in my voice? Would that be fine?
No, you're very clearly audible now, Rajeshji. I think you can continue.
Okay, fine. Right. I think when Vijay sir asked me about me presenting myself in this particular audience, in fact, I felt it would be very good if this program would have happened physically, so that I can share my thoughts and experience with you all, and I would have got an opportunity to meet you all. But unfortunately, this whatever the restrictions has made us to meet through this virtual mode. Nevertheless, I take this opportunity and take the things forward. In fact, I have been given a few topics because GST law is a very, very wide subject. So I have been given a few topics which I can cover within the time period of around 30 minutes given to me. Before I start my specific topics, I think I need to just give current scenarios, what is happening and what is likely to happen in coming few months. For the presently, this GST law is a law, though said to be a one tax, but actually it is multiple tax given in one single cover. CGST, SGST, IGST. Technically, they're all separate taxes, which as a businessman, many of us may not be able to understand so critically when it comes to us. But the officers, when they are actually implementing it, they would try to go in that technical manner wherein they do not consider this to be a single tax. 1. 2, the state authorities and central authorities, the approach of them are totally different. Many of us may be comfortable dealing with state authorities. Many others may be comfortable dealing with the central authorities. Each of them are experienced in their own set of fields. Let me tell you, both of them are short of knowledge as to practicality, how the certain type of business happens. So in other words, if I have to say, both are not complete in all respect. There is a lacuna in each of them when they approach any businessman as to the proceedings which they want to take care. So when we as a businessman, when we meet them, in the sense when they come across, firstly, we need to be aware that to what extent they are approaching us, with what provision or what authority, is something which we have to be cautious about, because many of the actions which are being taken by the authorities are not as per the law. I don't say illegal, but not as per the law, which means that there's a possibility that at a future point, even there's some short payment, etc., there's a possibility that you can get out of that based on some technicalities which are involved therein. So first and foremost thing, when any notices do come, please do not go based on your past experiences of VAT law or the restwhile central excise law or a service tax law, because the law under the GST law is totally different. Further, there is a specific have to proceed, which they're also not aware of still, because we are getting notices from the state where they are quoting certain sections which are nowhere relevant to the proceedings which they are carrying out. So that is a one more aspect which I'm just trying to say. They're coming out with very, very incomplete and improper knowledge and procedure. So be aware that all what they say, I repeat, be aware all what they say may not be true and correct as per the law. So please take note of this. And having said this on a one part, today the entire tax department is dancing to the tunes of the mouse, the IT sector. Whatever the GSTN is issuing reports, they are forced to act upon it. They do not have any discretion, and many a times, though certain officers do say that I am going to consider your thing and drop it, if technically it cannot be dropped, is going to resurface again. I'm repeating, anything which you think that you can settle and close by giving certain information, basic information, and talking to the officer with influence, etc., those things can again resurface at a subsequent period. There's going to be a time period of 5 years from the end of the due date for filing the annual return. That was actually February 2020, was for 17-18. So from there, if we count 5 years, we are talking about 2025. So they have a still lot of time to go back and dig your records and reassess or raise a demand, do a reassessment. However, if it is a genuine cases, they can go back up to 3 years. Even then, we are talking about 2023, which is still long way to go. And now all the authorities are out of their seats. They are on the field. Whatever the inquiries, investigation which were not done for last 3 years, now they have started, because most of the businessmen are going to get notices for audit. Second, they have been getting notices for mismatch between the 2A vis-a-vis 3B. They are getting notices for the delayed filing of returns. I have to just emphasize here, any person who has filed a return after September 19 for 18-19 or after April 19 for the year 17-18 or after September 20 for 19-20 or after September 21 for 2021, all those returns in those returns, whatever the ITC which is claimed, they are denying it. And this denial, none of the authorities at the lower authority are going to give you a relief. These matters have to be contested, kept alive, because my gut feeling and my experience says that these issues are going to be decided in favor of the assessees in days to come. But it's going to take time. In GST, still the tribunals have not been set up. Since the tribunals have not been set up, the litigation is not going to end so easily and so early. It is going to be a long drawn litigation. This is one more aspect. So now coming to practical side of approach as to any disputes, real disputes which are there. I have to say most of the disputes many of the businessmen would face is for the period 17-18, whatever 9 months plus 18-19, because most of them will not be aware, or some errors would have happened due to ignorance, improper filing by the suppliers for whatever reasons. So there might have been a genuine errors which would have been causing the liability. So my suggestion to most of my clients who come are these. First, if the amount is small, try to settle and close it. If because the cost of litigation, etc., itself may be higher, but while you are doing it, please do communicate that we do not accept your point, but however, since the amount is not substantial enough as to take the litigation, we are agreeing to pay. However, on principle, on law, we do not agree. So this type of communication should go from you to the department, so that at a later point in time also there cannot be any same issue of a bigger amount comes, they cannot put you onto an estoppel saying that you yourself accepted, subsequently you cannot take a contradictory view. So this is a very important thing which you need to know. Second, if the amounts are bigger and you also know the tax needs to be paid, one aspect in GST is there is no interest on interest. Today, after 4 years for 17-18, if you are paying, the interest amount is almost coming to 70% to 75%, depending upon the month. So rather, there's a lot of technical issue in interest provisions, both on a tax liability and more so on a input tax credit. In fact, as on date, if I have to say, there is no provision strictly to collect interest on irregular availment of credit and irregular utilization of credit. They are proposing to introduce that provision in the coming budget, I mean the Finance Act. From here now, I think maybe it will be effective from 1st January 2023, but will be effective retrospectively from July 17. So interest part of it, if anything is there, you say there is no provision or the provision is not covering this, so I don't pay interest. So what is the advantage of that? So you will not be paying basic tax. So the interest stops ticking. Whether you pay interest today and contest and pay the interest after 5 years, the interest amount would be the same. So as a businessman, the cash flow issues would be addressed with this particular point, which you need to be knowing. Anyhow, penalty, when it comes to a penalty, the authority is not going to accept your contention, whatever you say as to the penalty, and he is going to impose a penalty. So anyhow, you have to contest for the penalty, contest for interest and penalty, and futuristically you will get a relief. Even otherwise, my expectation is probably by 2025, there is going to be a one amnesty scheme which is going to waive all these interest and penalties for initial 3 to 4 years, is what my gut feeling based on the past experiences which I have seen. So, and also a lot of representations are going to go, because the number of cases at that time is going to be a substantial, because the department has started enquiries now. And let me tell you, any audit, without any exception, they are raising minimum 2 to 3 points. And almost all of them, subject to exception cases, are essentially at technical points. So again, one of them is that, 2A, 3B, supplier has not reported, I have paid tax, so I should get a credit. Like this, there's going to be, and most of them are going to contest this, and number of cases before various authorities and the forms are going to be very huge. Once this statistics goes to the government, there will be some representation, and there is likelihood that they are going to come out with some scheme to close all these cases. At that time, probably we will get a waiver of interest and penalties. What I'm just trying to say, I'm just giving all the possibilities which can be there. So as a businessman, you need to be aware of this while taking any decisions of any of these proceedings which comes up. So this was something which I thought, other than what the specific topics which are given, to brief and brought to the knowledge of the members for their benefit. Mr. Ajay, should I take questions now? At the end only I can take questions, right?
Yes, I think that would be more ideal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your flow could get interrupted, is what I'm
No
thinking.
problem. Fine. Now, up to this stage, if there's any questions, I can take now, or I'll take together at the end. No problem.
Sure. And if in the meantime, if I can request all the members to, if any thoughts or questions, queries that are coming, you can write it down, so that at the later part of the meeting, we can take all the questions one by one. Maybe your questions could get answered during the process of the meeting itself. So I request all the members to make note of your queries, and we can take it in the later part of the meeting. Back
Or
to you,
also,
Rajesh.
they can put in the chat box also if they're comfortable. Yeah. Okay. I think to the specific topics which were given to me, mismatch in e-way bill and invoices. Basically, I have to say today, the most of the revenue generation, other than the regular voluntary payment by the assessees from the department action, is through this e-way bill checking, that too more specifically from the state authorities. The intention of the provisions have been completely ignored. The intention of this provision was to avoid evasion of taxes, but that has gone beyond that. They're mostly getting into too much technicalities. Say there will be some description error. The address mentioned in one of the cases, the address in the invoice vis-a-vis address in a e-way bill, there was the road address was not mentioned, area only was mentioned. They said the invoice is not matching with the e-way bill, so we stop and we seize the goods. I mean, basically detain the goods. This has become a hand twisting tactics, because they have an authority to do, unless they have been properly instructed by the commissioner, saying that you have, in what are all the aspects you need to seize. Otherwise, you record it and take a proceedings, but don't hold the goods. See, why they have to hold the goods? If somebody is going to run away, if you are a registered person, you are being assessed in the state with the same authorities, why should they actually hold back your goods? Even if they're holding back, they can take a proceedings and release the goods on bond. But none of the authorities are doing it, and they're very, going very technical. In fact, I'll take one instance which so happened. Goods came from Tamil Nadu. The e-way bill gets expired at 12 o'clock night. The goods that truck came to the premises, that same lane, but the driver doesn't know which of the shops in that lane. So he's standing in that lane, and there's a window of 8 hours for the person to renew the e-way bill. The shop opens at 9 o'clock. The authority intercepts the vehicle at 8:45, saying that the e-way bill is expired, and demands tax plus equal amount as penalty. And ultimately they sit and they collected the tax, that amounts also. What I'm trying to say, in these cases, what should be our approach? See, today, if I am bold enough, having so much time and effort and money to take the case, I'll take to High Court. There is no other way which I can go against this without paying tax and penalty. Otherwise, my goods doesn't get released. So alternatively, I have to pay that particular tax plus penalty, release the goods. Then against that, we have to file an appeal. And today, the appeals are not being heard for months and in fact years. And even if you go to the appellate authority, that first appellate authority, mostly 90% of the cases, that whatever the order passed at the lower authority is going to get confirmed. Now, to going appeal against that to the next forum, that is the tribunal. The tribunal has not yet been set up. Forget about the case of pendencies of cases, not even set up. And as of now, there is a lot of technical issues in setting up. I don't think another 1.5 years the tribunal will be set up. So all these cases are going and to get stuck there. And once the tribunal gets set up, you have 3 months to file an appeal against, within the 3 months. If you miss that deadline, again, you lose that case completely. You have no option. So once you file appeal also, the time it comes up for hearing, okay. So it's all we are talking about around 4 years minimum, 4 to 5 years minimum to resolve this issue. And so many of us would have forgotten completely that this case existed and we had paid this, and maybe by the time after 5 years, whether the money value of that 2 lakh rupees which would have paid would have been worth fighting or contesting is another issue which we will be coming across at then. So I think this is something on this mismatches. So effectively, prevention is better than cure. You put in additional resources or systems or controls to doubly check to ensure that these matches and there's no discrepancy. And second, all other compliances of e-way bill are met. So e-way bill is going to be nuisance thing, but it's a inevitable. So we have to bear with it. This is as far as a e-way bill aspect of it. Additionally, there's one more thing about tracking of e-way bill vis-a-vis the vehicles, tolls. Nowadays, the data from toll is being linked to the government portals. So, government departments. In fact, I will tell one example how they watch this and try to. In one case, the goods are, say, coming from North Karnataka. It is destinated to Bangalore. The transportation charges is paid by the company to the transporter. The consignee says, boss, I have a job worker who is somewhere in Shirar somewhere. Why you bring it and take it. You deliver the goods there only. I will send the invoice copy. For the transporter, there is a savings in transport fuel cost. So he accepts. He doesn't pay anything. He takes a new invoice and new e-way bill from the customer and delivers to his place. Few such consignments happened. Then they saw e-way bill is supposed to, that vehicles are supposed to reach Bangalore, but the toll data says those vehicles have not come to Bangalore. They were doubting that there is only a bill trading or the goods have been diverted, have not reached. So I'm just giving sometimes the business modalities, which saving of cost, etc., which would have been designed, may not go in sync with the GST compliances. So be aware of it so that there's no issues, or I mean, these issues should not get created. Similarly, one more issue, there's something called a bill to ship to concept. Many of, as well as ship from, bill from, it's not only destination, source also can be different from the place where you will be billing. This is as per the law only I'm telling. Why I'm saying this, many a times, many of the people may not be aware. They try to simply create the complete circle through a raising of e-way bills, which is actually created only for the documentation purpose. Instead of utilizing this facility, they try to create and put some vehicle number which is not there, or some vehicle which is not moving there. So, and get into unnecessary issues which would have been not required. So they need to be, they need to get into how to fit in their nature of activity, business activity, into the framework of law and minimize their cost as much as possible. Is would be my suggestion on that aspect of it. The next point which is asked is about sales returns. Sales returns, in fact, accounting vis-a-vis GST, there may be a little different manner of treatment. I'll simply take one example. I've sold in the month of March 21, but the goods are being returned in October 21. As per our accounting accounting aspect, I am going to issue a credit note for sales return. He is going to raise a debit note. Whereas GST law, if I do this credit note which I issue, I cannot adjust the taxes paid, and he cannot, even if he is reversing, I cannot take an input tax. So what technically he is supposed to do for the purpose of GST, he is supposed to raise an invoice like a sales. But in my accounting, my auditor says it's a sales returns. How can I account it as a purchase? He is not your supplier, he is your customer. How can you purchase your finished goods? So there will be a conflict between your auditor vis-a-vis your GST consultant or your GST team internally. So you should clearly explain them. These differences will be there, and how to address that in the financials vis-a-vis a GST. In GST, you should take as a purchase invoice. He has to raise a sales invoice. You should account it as an inward supply. But in your thing, you cannot account as a purchase. You should show it as a purchase return. So how you are going to manage, depending upon your business, nature of activity, you have to structure your transactions. Again, whether I need to follow this for across the board or only in cases where after September I need to do, it all depends on each individual businesses and how they are going to design. Based on that, this has to be decided and structured. So I think this is on the sales returns. Rejection of goods. Rejection of goods is equal to sales return in one aspect of it, but there will be many situations where goods are rejected, but goods are not returned. Goods are rejected when it is not returned. So he will not issue, he's only going to raise a debit note against me. I would have, so again, the same problem comes in. Before September, at least I raise that particular thing. For deficiency, he will raise a debit note, I'll issue a credit note. Within September, I can take a input tax. I mean, my output tax can be adjusted provided he has reversed the credit. On the other hand, if it's happening after September, he is going to raise a debit note saying that quality issues only for the basic amount, not with the tax. In fact, the view which is there among the consultants is that any reduction of value without goods being returned, there is no requirement of a reversal of ITC. So this is the standpoint which is there, which can be followed. This is also supported by a draft circular which was withdrawn later, but the principles remains there on that aspect of it. This is about the third issue which is asked for. And Mr. Ajay, you should tell me when should I stop, because I will keep on going.
No, you are whatever you're saying is actually taking us into the flow. I am actually discussing simultaneously whatever you're saying. I'm discussing with my father also. Please continue.
Good.
Please continue.
No, I'm telling if no timing, I'm not keeping tab of time. So whenever you want me to stop out of time, you should tell me. Okay, right. Accounting of debit note and credit note. See, generally from the accounting terminology, debit note and credit note were understood to be a little different. Vis-a-vis under the GST law or a language of GST law, debit note and credit note is different. In the sense, either debit note or credit note under the GST law should be understood only from the perspective of the supplier. I repeat, supplier, not from the buyer. If I am telling a debit note by the supplier, which means I have already raised an invoice charging GST, where I have short charged the GST, I have to increase the GST, then I will raise a debit note. It may be due to increase in the rate of tax, increase in the price or price escalation, or I have short computed that value. For all these reasons, I raise a debit note, increasing my output tax liability. So that is called debit note, which I also upload and report to the customer. If I report before September after the financial year, the other person can take an input tax. If it is raised after September, you can anyhow raise it and pay tax, but the customer cannot take input tax. So this is something which you need to note. When it comes to credit note, you have already raised an invoice, paid taxes. Subsequently, you are reducing that value, then you issue a credit note. The credit note can be with GST impact, can be without GST impact. When it is without GST impact, it is called as financial credit note. This credit note, when you can adjust tax, is only in certain scenarios, not in all cases. Scenario 1, return of the goods. Scenario 2, there's a deficiency in the service. Scenario 3, the value which you were charged is subject to change based on the agreement which was prevailing already on the date of the supply. I say I'm going to supply, but if in the financial year you cross so much purchases, I'm going to issue you a discount of so much. So the value is not finalized or it's subject to change. Then only you can issue a credit note. In other cases, if you issue a credit note, that will not be eligible for adjustment. So for example, bad debts written off, the cash discount, which is not known at the time of supply, or he reduces after I supply without any prior agreements. In those cases, he cannot give back me the tax which I have charged. I cannot reduce and adjust my subsequent payment of taxes. So this is as far as the credit note is concerned. Furthermore, before you adjust the taxes paid on the invoices through a credit note, one of the essential condition is the recipient should have reversed the ITC. How do I know? I cannot. Portal enables other way around. If I issues credit note for the invoice already reported B2B, it goes and sits in his portal asking him to reverse. But whether he has reversed or not is, I am not having any control. In fact, in few audits, they're raising this as a point and say, you have adjusted, but you do not have an evidence to establish that he has reversed the credit. So you have, whenever you are adjusting the output tax liability through a credit note, please collect all the required documentation and evidences. So this is about debit note and credit notes. Discounts received and given is the next point. This discounts given, I've already sold. Subsequently, I'm giving a discount. As I previously discussed when I was discussing about a credit note, you can issue the credit in those scenarios where I said the three aspects. Return, it is not a return. It's only at the before your supply itself, you are aware that you are going to give a discount as per the agreements entered into, then only it can get covered through a credit note for adjustment of tax. Otherwise, you cannot get a adjustment of the taxes already paid. On the other hand, any discount you give it on the invoice is permissible. There's no issue. In fact, there's a concept of quantity discount. Not actually quantity discount. What I mean to say is, if you buy 10, I'm going to give one more extra 11. My suggestion is, don't mention that one item free. Rather, compute a value for 11 pieces, then less discount in the invoice, the value of one piece. That is clearly non-objectionably is permitted and allowed, so that you do not find any difficulties in future. Otherwise, there may be a problem in those things. They are going to say, this discount you have supplied free of cost, the corresponding input tax, you will be ineligible, can be an objection which can be raised. Discount received, when it comes to receipt, there is already a lot of debates going on with either automobile sector, or it may be telecom sector, or any other sector. Essentially these two. There have been a divergent practices and divergent views. I get an incentive. If I get an incentive or a discount based on my sales, not based on my purchase, but I account that in my reduction in my purchase, it is actually technically incorrect, because this is my revenue not linked to my purchases. Though my accounting terminology is used, the department is saying that this is independent of the purchases you have made. So this is you are getting for a independent activity where it can be treated as a supply, and the issue is debatable. Though few service tax we succeeded on various grounds, but in service tax we succeeded saying that it is in the context of the sale of goods. So sale of goods being not subjected to service tax, it cannot be taxed. But in the GST, both goods and services are both being taxed, either this way or that way. There may be a risk factor. Be doubly cautious on these aspects of it. I think I talked about tracking of UA bill invoices. The last thing which is there, bill trading and its consequences. I do not know how to address this. Only briefly, couple of points I would like to touch upon. As a business requirement, there might have been a certain manner of practices which should have been followed, which is one type of that is called as circular trading. That means my turnover, I have to show more turnover to my bank. So I asked my friend, boss, आपका sale जो है, वो route it through me. So I'll also get additional sales. The goods doesn't come, nothing comes, only the invoice moves and the payment is routed through me. In all these cases, the department is initiating proceedings. Technically, there is a lot of difficulty to overcome this, but at the same time, there is a lot of lacuna also in the law. Where these cases are going to get, finally reached, whether they are going to take it, finally say, ultimately this transaction chain has suffered tax, nothing has been lost to the revenue. So leave this type of transaction from the clutches, whether this will be the approach, or are they going to go too much technically and say, as per this rule, you have taken ITC without receipt of goods, so that credit is not eligible on one hand. On the other hand, you have issued an invoice without supplying a goods, so it attracts penalty. There's no tax. One side, they're going to deny you input tax. Second side, they may demand you a penalty equal to the tax. So there may be a double hit on that. So be careful on that. So it is going to impact substantially. Many a past would have happened. Keep your fingers crossed. And if anything, such things are there, either you are in anywhere in the loop. But unfortunately, many of us have been suffering because somebody in the earlier of the chain has done this and have got into this loop, but you are a genuine purchaser. Many a times such cases also are there where they are suffering. You just put your foot down and try to contest. At the end of the day, you will get a good news is what my hope on that. I think these asked me to cover. Hopefully, I've covered all the topics. I think there's one question which had come. How to get refund from GST, mainly amount of TDS. This TDS part, essentially, which wherever the government or anything happens, you are supposed to log into that portal and just select that amount, and then you have to actually accept that particular TDS, and that amount will be credited into your cash ledger. And it so happens that you have a sufficient credit. You need not use the cash ledger for the payment of tax. Then you can always claim a refund of the balances lying in the cash ledger. And recently there has been a clarification from CBIC that such refund has to be sanctioned, and you can apply and get the refund on that. When GST is one nation, one tax, then can we use credit available in Karnataka in adjusting liability in other states? Actually, this particular part, there is a talk going on to transfer of credit from one registration to another registration, but still not enabled it. And again, as I said, put it into a one pocket package and being presented as the one goods, but it's not really so. So technically, all are different. Okay. I think any other questions? I think I'm free to address those.
Thank you, Rajesh. The floor is open for any specific queries or questions. So I request the members to unmute and share. You can ask your question. Any of our members have any specific query?
This is Manish here. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, Mr. Rajesh,
Yes.
my question was, after the GST coming up, do you feel the earlier taxation was better, or GST is better? And although there are so many hitches which you have told, and it is going to be better in the future. So VAT, service tax, these type of taxes were good from the businessman as well as the consumer's point of view, or GST is going to be promising?
Yeah, I think if I have to address it very simply, the concept is good, implementation is getting bad. The entire system which was designed was good. Let me tell you very aptly, if any entrepreneur focuses just 3 months, focused 3 months to put his systems in place as to the GST, then I think GST is not an issue at all if it is going to be over. However, you may face lot of questions, documentation, inquiries, letters. It is actually adding to lot of work, additional work, I can say, as compared to the earlier laws. But over a period of time, it is going to ease out, is what my hope is. But 5 to 7 years initially is going to be nightmare, and the impact of that 5 years may get carried away up to 10 years, because you have to resolve all those initial issues. But it is a good law to be there, and very well thought, but implementation is getting bad. Technicalities is killing us. And there's a question, what are the real reasons for opposing GST? Multiple reasons. If I had to say, a contractor wants to generate a cash, is not able to generate cash. For what reason you would have understood?
So, any other questions? Rajesh ji, now say in the month of December, on the 31st of December, I need to raise a debit note for probably cost for delay payment or some freight or some expenses which was not provisioned for or anticipated of. On 31st of December, I have raised a debit note on my customer and I charge GST, say 18% or 28% as the case may be. And I submit and hand over the debit note to my customer probably in the first week of January. Now I have, there is a quarter that is involved. One is a month end. I have accounted for on the 31st of December. He is probably going to account it for in the month of January if he's not accounting it for in the month of December for whatever reasons. Now, one is when the quarterly returns are being filed, I am going to take it in the third quarter and he's going to take it in the fourth quarter. So now there is going to be a mismatch. So how do I address this?
See, any credit which is coming at a later point in time is fine. But as you rightly said, with this new concept, which is introduced from January 2022, that your credit will be based on 2B. It may so happen that there is a substantial, this amount, see, if I am a buyer, this is for the past, whatever it is, you have given me this, whatever debit note for say 2 lakh of tax. I may not get overall credits in the next few months to come with, come near to 2 lakh anyway. So if I have not taken a credit in the month of December, I'll shift this to January. If then I can I take in the next month is going to be a challenge. We do not know how this system is going to behave. Some of these structuring which has been done in the system do not understand the practicalities of the businesses. They're only going too much technical because it only works with logic written there, not with the variations. These are the issues which are going to come, which will be addressed. Actually, there should not be any problem technically legally for anybody to take a credit in the next quarter. It cannot be taken earlier, but future surely they can take.
And are we back to the license, Raj?
No, not really. Only thing, you have to organize your business. You have to be more systematic. Government expects you to do their job. Government expects that you ensure your supplier compliances. So they have outsourced their work of ensuring compliances to businessmen. So they will ensure the entire chain to be operating correctly so that the government gets the revenue correctly.
One question I had, Ajay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, one company whom I have supplied material in the month of January and February, they had changed their GST number. Matlab, they had changed from proprietor to partnership, but by mistake, my billing person has put the old GST number to their account.
Okay.
Now the department, I'm not able to rectify. Is there any way to rectify it?
Sir,
It is a tune of
if
like
it is
20 lakhs,
January,
that's
February 21, you can't do anything, sir.
January, February 21, that's what.
Yeah, because September
So is there,
month
there
is
is no
over.
way?
No way. But let me tell you that it is now the war between you and your customer. The government has shifted its burden. They are going to simply go and say to your customer, will not give you a credit. Your customer says, your invoices are not reflecting 2A, I will not pay you or I will debit you.
That's what.
So government has put their recovery mechanism into your customer's mechanism. So
now
Junaid, if actually you are strong, I'm putting it other way around. If you are strong, your customer is weak, and you force your customer, I don't know all those things, or you had already collected the money, then your customer has to fight to the department saying that they have paid tax, give all those evidences to establish that they have received a goods, they have made a payment, and they have filed the return, and you have paid a tax, so they can get a credit. There's a new condition added that reporting in the portal from 1st January 2022. In my understanding, that provision would be challenged in the court of law. Part of the suppliers, the recipient should not be sub, but we do not know where it's going to finally stand.
No. The mistake what has happened, sir, it has gone to their old GST number. It has not gone to the new GST number. Hello?
Correct, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
No, what I was just trying to say, from your perspective, Ajay, am I audible?
Not very clear though.
Hello.
Please continue, Rajesh. Rajesh, I'm sorry, you're not audible.
I think Rajesh's network is weak.
Hello?
Yeah, Rajesh, please speak.
Rajesh?
Hello, I think he's trying to re-log in.
Okay.
He's online, but
Okay. Now,
yeah, now it's clear. Okay, you can.
He has dropped.
Yeah, I think Rajesh is logged out. He may log in again, probably.
Yeah, he is trying to re-log in. So let's wait for him.
Yeah. I'll just make a call to Rajesh and check. Rajesh's mobile is also not reachable.
uh, I think Ajayji, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, sir. Sorry, we lost you in
No,
between.
I think that network was an issue. So yeah. No, I think I was
Welcome.
addressing that question. The from the supplier perspective, as a supplier, you have done all your things correctly. Maybe there was an error in the uploading of invoice to the relevant GST registration number. Then we genuinely, you would have X number instead of Y number. You will have a time up to September after the financial year ending to make that corrections. Beyond that, the system closes. So the department says you're not done within the time permitted. Now you can't do. Now the option available for the recipient is to take a certificate from you that you have raised an invoice, you have supplied the goods, you have paid the tax, you have filed the return. But however, instead of uploading to this number, it has been uploaded to this number, and that other person, the same person, would also give a corresponding declaration saying that we have not availed the credit on those invoices uploaded by so and so. So with these two things, the recipient can substantiate his credit and take that benefit. But the question would be whether would he be interested to do that if there's a mistake from the supplier. This is how the practically things happen. Hope that I've answered your question, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rajesh ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So I think we don't have, do we have any other questions? So Rajesh, I think we've had a great session today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time and knowledge that you have invested with our members this evening. It's been very informative, very educative. Really appreciate you having accepted our request to be here today. Thank you so much. And may I now invite our Director Club Services, Rajesh, anything that you would like to add?
No, nothing. I think I've completed my deliberations.
Thank you so much. So may I now invite our Director Club Services, Rotarian Manish Bhujavar, for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, President. So with a great dispensation on behalf of the Rotary Bangalore Junction family, I would like to thank Mr. T.R. Rajesh Kumar who has in a very minimum time explained us a very high level of the concept of GST. Although GST is a very vast subject. In fact, to just give you a lighter note, when GST was on the cards, when it was supposedly implemented and the discussions were on in the parliament, all our businessmen were tensed up, and their wives suggested them ki tension mat lena, we are already facing the GST. So everybody was wondering what is this GST all about. So their wife started telling GST का मतलब है घर में सास का टेंशन, तो आप भी टेंशन मत लेना, ये चलते रहेगा. So that was on the lighter note. And the way you kick-started, Mr. Rajesh, by giving the insights about the lack of knowledge that the officials own, and the way the tax officials come and harass the businessmen, the way we need to bridge the gulf and take care of the legal loopholes was really, really very alarming. And it was a great input to all the business community. You have also very well explained the way you have to handle the notices, the mismatch, and also you have given some relaxation to the assessees by giving them ideas about how to just handle it with the contest amount. And you have also given a lot of insight about the interest component, which is again a hindrance, and because of which actually the businessman can be taxed. And you also very well explained that in the aid of technical aberrations, how the airway bills and invoices can be manipulated, and how it could harass the the supplier and the buyer. And you have given good examples to probably address this. At the same time, you have also given resolutions of going through the tribunals, which are actually not proper, or rather they are yet to be implemented. And your example on the toll data and the connectivity between the supplier and the buyer was really, really a good input. You also given ideas to handle sales returns, the conflicts, the adjustments, and if the goods are rejected, how to handle it, the credit note, debit note, everything was really, really probably enlightening. And you also gave us ideas on how to handle the discounts. So overall, I can say GST being such a vast topic, but you have covered it in a very simpler language, in a layman's language, which we could all understand. Thank you so much for this enlightenment, and we wish you good luck. And I request Ajay Bhawala, our president, to share your number with our members so that offline they can connect with you in case they have any kind of specific queries. Thank you so much, Rajesh ji, and thanks Ajay for this opportunity. Thank you.
I should also thank all of you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you. And the numbers, I think
Anytime.
Ajay sir can share with everybody.
Yes, I will do
Thank
that,
you, Rajesh
Rajesh.
ji.
I have received, even on my personal window, I have received some requests from members to share your number. So with your permission, I will be sharing your number with our club members, and probably they could reach out to you.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
in a very layman's language, like Manish had suggested, you have given us a lot of information. It has been very educative. We really appreciate, and I should thank our past president, Rotarian Vijay Saraf, for having connected us with you for this wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And dear members, and Rajesh, as a good practice, one of the good practices in our club, towards the end of the meeting after the vote of thanks, we raise for the national anthem. May I request all the members to please raise for the national anthem?
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा
Thank you so much. And sorry for the technical hitch. And Rajesh, thank you so much. It's been great. And I'm sure we will be meeting in person also very soon. And we'll be having a good time. And in the meantime, I'm looking forward to meeting Rajesh in person also very soon once the environment and the ecosystem becomes a little more conducive.
Thank you, sir.
And meeting adjourned. And I request all the members to be safe, stay at home, take care, and have a great evening. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Ajay. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.